It's the kind of headline that sounds like a joke until it isn't. Jake Paul versus Gervonta Tank Davis. A YouTube star turned boxer stepping into the ring with one of the most explosive fighters of this generation. It's entertainment, ego, and danger rolled into one, and now that Floyd Mayweather has reportedly joined Davis's training camp, the internet can't stop talking. What started as a rumor has turned into a full-blown spectacle, and the closer the fight gets, the more chaos surrounds it. From the beginning, this matchup felt impossible. Davis fights at lightweight, around 135 pounds. Jake Paul is a cruiserweight, walking in at nearly 200. That's a 60-pound difference between them, and for a while, most people thought it was all hype. But then came the Netflix announcement, confirming a November 14th event in Miami. Suddenly, what once sounded like a meme became one of the most anticipated and controversial boxing stories of the year. Jake Paul built his career out of disbelief. Every time people said he couldn't do something, he doubled down. From viral pranks to pay-per-view fights, he's mastered the art of keeping people talking. Whether fans tune in to cheer or to hate, they still tune in. And that's where Jake wins, because in this era, attention equals power. His opponents have included retired MMA fighters, aging boxers, and even a few who looked out of place in a ring. But now, he's facing a real fighter, one who doesn't just box, he lives it. Gervonta Davis was molded by the streets of Baltimore and sharpened under the watch of Mayweather himself. His record speaks for itself, undefeated, knockout after knockout, each one a brutal reminder of what elite boxing looks like. For Davis, every punch carries purpose. Every step is calculated. And when Floyd Mayweather re-entered his orbit to help him prepare for Jake Paul, the message was clear: Tank isn't here for jokes. He's here to defend boxing's reputation. But the weight gap is enormous, and fans are divided. Some call it a mismatch that should never be sanctioned. Others see it as a clash between worlds, old-school boxing versus influencer spectacle. The Georgia Athletic Commission even withdrew permits for the original venue, refusing to sanction a fight with such a huge physical difference. Yet the promoters didn't back down. The show moved to Miami, where the exhibition format gives them more flexibility. No official record, no belts, but plenty of money, and even more eyes watching. When the news broke that Mayweather had joined Davis's camp, everything shifted. Jake Paul might play confident online, posting clips of his intense training and promising the biggest show of the year, but insiders say he's shaken. Body language doesn't lie, and ever since Mayweather showed up at Davis's gym, Jake's tone has softened. He keeps talking about staying positive, focusing on his health, meditating, keeping his energy right. But the bravado that used to define him seems to fade every time Tank's name comes up. The irony? The only time Jake's ever been knocked out, by his own admission, was when he fainted during meditation and broke his nose on the floor. He tells that story like it's funny, but in this context, fans use it as ammunition. If meditation dropped him, one comment said, "Imagine what Tank's left hand will do." But Jake isn't backing off. He insists he's taking this fight seriously. After 5 years in the sport, he claims he's never been dropped in sparring, never been hurt, and feels better than ever. His conditioning coach says he's in peak form, stronger, leaner, and more focused than during any previous camp. Yet, even with all that, the challenge ahead is unlike anything he's faced before. On the opposite side, Davis's camp is running like a machine. With Mayweather offering strategic input, everything from Tank's timing to his defensive angles is being sharpened to perfection. The two share a complicated history. Mayweather was once Tank's mentor, then critic, and now mentor again. That reunion feels symbolic. It's like the master returning to guide his protege into a fight that isn't about belts, it's about pride. Floyd knows that if Tank wins, boxing wins. Chael Sonnen, the outspoken MMA analyst, summed it up perfectly. Tank's not just fighting Jake Paul, he's fighting for boxing itself. Sonnen believes this matchup symbolizes the sport defending its honor after years of spectacle bouts and influencer crossovers. In his words, Tank has one job: to remind everyone that boxing is a real sport. Skills versus skills. Dedication versus distraction. But here's the twist. Jake Paul understands spectacle better than anyone. He's not a fool. He knows how to build a moment, how to draw attention, how to turn controversy into currency. The man's entire empire was built on polarizing reactions. Whether you love him or hate him, you still click. You still comment. And that's the genius of Jake Paul. He doesn't need approval. He just needs your attention. As the fight nears, debates flood social media. Purists claim Davis is wasting his prime years on exhibitions instead of real title fights. They argue that Tank's focus on money and fame could damage his legacy. Some even call him the new Adrian Broner, a fighter more interested in lifestyle than legacy. Others defend him, saying he's earned the right to cash out. After all, Tank's been through grueling battles. If a one-night exhibition brings him tens of millions, why not take it? Meanwhile, the business side tells its own story. The move from Atlanta to Miami wasn't just logistics, it was branding. Miami sells the glitz, the lights, the influencer crowd. And with Netflix streaming globally, the event promises record-breaking reach. That's what promoters care about. Not titles, not sanctioning, but numbers, views, streams, engagement. The sport has evolved, and fighters like Jake Paul helped accelerate that change. But not everyone's celebrating. Traditional boxing journalists are calling this the end of the sport's dignity. They say it sends the wrong message, that popularity outweighs skill, and viral moments matter more than championship belts. And yet, paradoxically, those same journalists write article after article about it, feeding the same hype they criticize. It's the perfect loop: condemn it publicly, consume it privately. The closer we get to fight night, the more surreal the build-up becomes. Press conferences are wild. Davis stays calm, stoic, barely saying a word. Jake Paul talks fast, cracks jokes, tries to bait him. The energy is tense. Fans pick sides, #Team Tank versus #Team Jake floods timelines. Even celebrities are chiming in. From rappers to retired fighters, everyone has an opinion. Behind closed doors, insiders say the rules are still being finalized. Since it's an exhibition, there may be restrictions on full contact power shots. Some believe there's an understanding between camps not to go for a knockout, but others say that's impossible. Tank doesn't know how to light spar in front of a global audience. He's a finisher, and Jake, for all his showmanship, isn't the type to back down mid-fight. Once punches start flying, all agreements disappear. Then comes the physical reality. Jake Paul is huge compared to Tank. Standing almost a foot taller and weighing close to 200 pounds, he dwarfs Davis, who walks around at 150. That visual difference alone is shocking. Watching them side by side makes it hard to believe they belong in the same ring. Critics say it's reckless, that no athletic commission should allow it. But the exhibition loophole changes everything. In boxing, money makes the rules, and this fight is printing it. At the heart of it, this entire story reveals how much boxing has changed. Gone are the days when only rankings and belts decided who fought. Today, it's about narrative. It's about who can create the biggest moment. Jake and Tank understand that perfectly. They're not just fighters, they're entertainers in an attention economy. The purists hate that sentence. But the truth is, fans made it this way. When real fights like Benavidez versus Plant struggled to sell pay-per-views, but influencer fights went viral overnight, the business took notice. Promoters followed the money. Viewers wanted drama, and drama they delivered. That's how we ended up here, watching one of boxing's most gifted champions face a man who learned to fight in front of cameras, not crowds. Still, there's something magnetic about it. The idea of Tank Davis, compact, lightning fast, lethal, trying to break through Jake Paul's towering frame feels cinematic. It's David versus Goliath, but both Davids are rich. The fans know the stakes. If Tank dominates, he restores boxing's honor. If Jake survives, or worse, shocks the world with a win, it rewrites the hierarchy of the sport. Either way, history's being made. Behind the scenes, Floyd Mayweather's involvement adds another layer. He's not just training Davis, he's orchestrating the psychology. Mayweather has always seen boxing as a chess match, and in this case, he's teaching Tank how to weaponize patience. Floyd's game was never about brute force, it was control. Now he's passing that blueprint to Tank, refining the chaos into precision. And Jake Paul, no matter how confident he acts, is walking into that. Analysts are already split on predictions. Some say Tank will overwhelm Jake early, using angles and speed Jake has never encountered. Others think the size difference might neutralize that, allowing Jake to lean, clinch, and drag the fight into slower rounds where power matters more than speed. A few even suggest we could see something closer to sparring than real combat. Lots of jabs, few risks, both men protecting their brands more than their chins. But fans don't want that. They want a moment, a knockout, a surprise, something they can clip and share. Because in this new era of boxing, viral moments are the new trophies. A single 5-second highlight is worth more than a belt in terms of relevance. And that's exactly what makes this fight both exciting and dangerous. Beyond the memes and marketing, this matchup exposes a bigger truth. Boxing is no longer just a sport, it's content. Fighters are influencers, promoters are storytellers, and every punch is a headline. Whether that's good or bad depends on who you ask. Traditionalists call it a circus. The new generation calls it evolution. And through it all, Jake Paul stands right in the middle, smiling. He knows every insult only boosts his algorithm. Every doubter becomes a viewer. Every expert saying, "this fight shouldn't happen," is another free advertisement. That's why he doesn't care about the criticism. He built his empire on disbelief. Tank, on the other hand, represents the purest dream. A man forged by discipline, shaped by pain, perfected through years of fighting real opponents. He doesn't need viral fame, he earns his respect in the ring. And that's why this fight feels symbolic. It's not just YouTuber versus boxer. It's clout versus craft. It's fast fame versus lifelong grind. In the end, maybe that's what makes this fight irresistible. It's not about belts or records. It's about identity. What kind of fighter defines this era? The one who came up through blood and sweat, or the one who came up through screens and clicks? As the cameras roll, as the lights hit the ring, and as millions tune in around the world, all the talk will fade. The tweets, the headlines, the analysis, none of it will matter once the bell rings. Because for all the noise and marketing, boxing still comes down to one simple truth. When two people step into that ring, everything else disappears. And in that silence, between the punches and the crowd's roar, maybe we'll get our answer. Maybe Jake Paul proves he belongs. Maybe Tank Davis reminds everyone what real boxing looks like. Or maybe, just maybe, this fight becomes the symbol of what the sport has turned into, an unpredictable mix of legacy, spectacle, and pure showmanship. Whatever happens, one thing is certain, nobody will look away. Because whether you love it or hate it, this fight has already done its job. It's made the whole world watch.